Wide Awake Media has a whole thing about autism and vaccines. They say autism is caused by vaccines. According to RFK Jr., the CDC carried out a study in 1989 which showed a 1350% elevated risk for autism in the first 30 days among children who got the hepatitis B vaccine compared to those who got it later or didn't get it at all. I could not find this study. I did look for it. I didn't look hard for it because this is Twit Tweets. This isn't one of my regular videos. I couldn't find it. There are hundreds and hundreds of studies. I've written a book called Thimerosal, Let the Science Speak, that has 1,400 references and over 400 studies cited that link autism and other related neurological injuries to vaccines. There's no question about it. This strikes me as the Matt Powell thing, where when responding to some of Aaron Ra's criticisms of his Science Falsely So-Called movie, he was like, everything I said in that movie had a source. What is that source? Fuck you, I'm not saying that. Like, there were no sources in the description. He didn't cite anything in the movie itself.
Also, having a source does not mean that you accurately use that source. Yeah, it's the reason why when you're...
It also doesn't mean it's a good source. So in my search for the 1989 study, I need to amend something that I said a couple weeks ago. Is that I said there are a grand total of 2 studies that have found a link between vaccine and autism, the Hugh Fudenberg one and the Andrew Wakefield one. Both of which were on less than 20 kids, and one of which had, here, take pills made out of my own personal bone marrow to cure your autism. So not really reputable stuff. I have since found a third. It was published in 2011. I don't know how it got into an actual journal. But yeah, they looked at statistics and they found a link between vaccines and autism. It was authored by, what's her fucking name? I forget her name. It's like Gail something. It's that lady whose autistic daughter now runs a blog talking about how much she hates her mother.
Jesus Christ.
Because she was raised in this flurry of like, autism is bad, vaccines gave my kids autism, my kids will never amount to anything because the vaccines gave them autism. So yeah, they were raised in that environment, and now they're like, fuck that lady. Yeah. So yeah, she's the author of the study. She's not a biologist. She teaches finance at a university in New York. So what her opinion on biology is, like, maybe she could do a statistical analysis and that would kind of be in her bailiwick. But thing is, someone else did a statistical analysis on her data and found that the correlation between vaccines and autism was had an R value of 0.001 something, which R value is how well correlated it is. 1 is perfect correlation, 0 is not correlated at all. So 0.001 something, basically not correlated.
So it is entirely separate.
The way she found the correlation was by being like, oh, well, we're looking at states, and states are different. So I'm going to give this state a starting score, and we're going to assume that the baseline is this. And this state is going to have this baseline, and that state is going to have that baseline. How did I come up with these baselines? Fuck you, I'm not telling. And once you plug all that in, suddenly there's a correlation in the data.
That's what happens when you do the math backwards.
Olivia Williams trying to train Rhino to say like and subscribe. It's never going to work. I'm untrainable. So, yeah, she started from her conclusion and massaged the data to fit into it and didn't say how she did that massaging.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the third study. So there's crazy guy whose pills cure or whose bone marrow cures autism somehow. There's Andrew Wakefield, who was actively trying to make millions off of a competing vaccine. And there's lady who has been an anti-vaccine nut for as long as she's been in the public eye and knows nothing about biology and manipulated her data. So that's the evidence that vaccine and autism are linked. Meanwhile, there are studies involving millions of kids that have found no link. So,
also, just in general, for instance, for the MMR vaccine, or for most vaccines, we give them before the age of 2, and it's usually like 1.5 to 2 that we find out if a kid has autism. That's when we start figuring out the first signs that they might have autism. So the fact that your kid was diagnosed as autistic after getting the vaccines, no shit, Sherlock. that's when they would have been showing signs anyway.
Yeah. But also, the whole autism thing is just a fucking red herring. Because you know what? I have at least 2 kids that are autistic. There are others that are going through screening processes for not necessarily specifically autism, but that's on the list. So I've got at least 2 autistic kids. Way the fuck better than dead kids from the measles or something.
Yeah. It's true.
None of my kids know what it's like to have chickenpox. I remember chickenpox. Chickenpox fucking sucked.
You know, there's a lot of kids in Texas that know what measles is like now,
Van Briggs. Yeah, you know who doesn't know what the measles is like anymore? The 3 that died.
So, all things considered, I will say there is a correlation between vaccines and autism. But it is only that autism causes
vaccines. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, this makes me mad. This subject makes me mad. Just take your vaccines, man. Take all your vaccines. You're a
father.
Give me... Not even that.
You're a father with autistic children. Of course it's going to make you way mad.
This made me mad before any of my kids got diagnosed autistic.
Yeah, but you're also still a father in general.
Yeah, no, it's like I don't want my kids to have diseases. We have ways to prevent horrible diseases. Just get the little shot. It's fine.
And we choose not to do them because fuck you, tism.
Yeah. No.
Sidebar. So there's a friend of mine who is very conservative, but exists almost exclusively in nerd spaces. And nerd spaces tend to be fairly left-wing spaces, all things considered. So we were having a conversation in my kitchen, and he said the statement like, everybody's got autism nowadays. And what I said at the time was the data driven, like, well, no, actually we have ways of figuring out if someone has autism. This is the actual rate of autism in the United States. It's much lower than you're thinking. And you know how hindsight always reminds you of like what you should have said in that situation? What I should have said is, you exist exclusively in a space that plays Magic the Gathering and Warhammer. There is a non-zero chance everybody in there has tism.
It's a non-zero chance that you have the tism.
Oh, I guarantee you he does. But it's like everybody in one of those spaces is 100% engaging in a special interest of either them or someone else there. You're going to find a higher percentage of people with autism in nerd spaces than you're going to find just like out on the sidewalk.
Absolutely.
Briggs says, please have some healthy fluoridated water. So 1, I'm not doing redeems right now. And 2, I can't because I'm in a hotel room with I don't have anything here, and I'm not drinking water from that fucking sink. So I'm just going to get a drink after I'm done with all this.
I don't know why, but the water where in the Niagara region in Canada is not fluoridated. Like, we do that regionally, and some regions do it, other regions don't. My water is not fluoridated. I don't know why. I wish it was. Actually, I've never thought about this before. I've run all my water through a Brita filter. Would that remove fluoride?
I don't think so. Because no, because fluoride is usually more liquid, right? So I don't think that gets taken out with the Brita filter.
Well, that makes me feel paranoid about what the Brita filter's not taking out then.
Let me see here. I at least had evidence that my Brita filter is doing really good because we replaced the filter and the old filter was like really heavy.
So regional water is actually really clean. The only reason I do it is because there is a bit of a chlorine taste to it, which to me is fine, because the chlorine taste means that the viruses and bacteria and stuff aren't there. But I don't like the chlorine taste, and the Brita does a decent job at getting rid of it. So that's the only reason I really use the filter.
Okay, so the Brita filter can remove chlorine, lead, and copper, but they do nothing for fluoride because they are not designed to filter for fluoride.
It was just a carbon filter, though. I thought carbon just absorbed everything that wasn't water.
Might not have an effect on it, because I'm looking at the Brita FAQ.
Yeah, okay. Well, if it's coming from Brita, they might want you to think the fluoride's still there because you're someone like me who actually wants fluoridated water.
Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I really could not do any of this without all of you. Those of you watching, and especially those of you who support me on Patreon. I wanted to go ahead and take a minute to thank all of you who do that, because with YouTube being what it is these days, I really cannot do this full time without the support from each and every one of you. Those people would be Red Joker, Purple Poundini, Jemshin, Britzkrieg, Jupe the Malignant, Michael, Ravalern, Mabbity Babbity, Astral Frontier, Tales of Atonement, Nixie Chan, Kiri Artemis, Victorian Alchemist, I'm not saying the last part of that, and you know that, Leela Ururaka, Arcton Arclacier, Kiratorian, Dren Hadamata, Jordan M, John L, Lord Bleck, Smiling Game Master, and Fire Shard. Thank you so very much. But since you're here, why not go ahead and try watching another one? There should be one that's on the screen right now. And if you are a patron of mine, I wanted to go ahead and thank you again for all of your support. There is still a video you could press though, if you'd like. I would appreciate it just a little bit.